Welcome back to Arsenal News TV, and today we're going to look at 4 things spotted in Arsenal training. And Arsenal prepare for their second match of the Premier League versus Chelsea, and it will be a very tough match as Mikel Arteta's men prepare. So the first thing spotted in Arsenal training is the fact that Rob Holding returns to the training ground, and he is someone that is spotted in the training sessions with the likes of the other players that were committed to train. And when it comes to Rob Holding, he is a player that is very big player under Mikel Arteta, someone that Mikel Arteta views as a big leader, someone that Mikel Arteta thinks that he is someone that is very important for the leadership scheme that is taking place at the Gunners, and he is someone that I think should rather make the loan move rather than remaining at the club and rotting away. And we all know that Rob Holding has always had a mixed fan base reaction. Some fans do love him as a player, some fans really deter him as a player, and when it comes to Rob Holding, he might have that opportunity to feature, as he was someone that was a huge stalemate under Mikel Arteta in the previous season. He had a lot of games under Mikel Arteta, and he is someone that I think will be a decent player. But when it comes to Rob Holding, he's had the opportunity to impress time and time again, but he has returned to the Arsenal training ground with a new look, but I think he should be sold in my opinion. But I want you guys to leave it in the comments below. Do you think Rob Holding should become sold or remain at the football club, depending on your opinion rather than what Mikel Arteta is? Because we all know that he wants to keep Rob Holding. And Rob Holding is someone that could replace Ben White of £50 million signing, as we realised his mistakes in the previous match versus Brentford, and that aerial physicality is something that Rob Holding does thrive on, and something that Mikel Arteta may utilise versus Chelsea, as he will probably be up against Lukaku. So the next thing on the list is Gabriel Martinelli impresses in training. And after a very dismal start to the Premier League campaign for Gabriel Martinelli, after failing to impress in the 60 or 65 minutes that he played, I think Gabriel Martinelli has the opportunity now to impress heavily and show Mikel Arteta why he is a top young prospect, and show Mikel Arteta that he is up for the challenge of becoming one of the best players in the team and becoming one of the best young players in the squad and in European football as well, even though we're not in European football, but at least in English football as well. And we clearly see that something that Mikel Arteta did address previously, previous seasons. He has stated that the relationship between Gabriel Martinelli and Kieran Tierney down that left flank is something that Gabriel Martinelli and Kieran Tierney will need to work upon each other, and that's something that Gabriel Martinelli needs to work upon heavily if we're going to have any chance of making it to where we want to be in the Premier League, if it's top 6 or top 4, because that first game we saw that partnership between Kieran Tierney and Gabriel Martinelli has no cohesion, no talent, no intensity, and it really faded the performance of Gabriel Martinelli, as he will have a big job on his hands, as it looks very likely that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang would not feature in the game versus Chelsea. We know he is ill. We don't know if it's COVID-19 or if it's another illness. Is it something that he contracted previously, like malaria, or God knows what else he could have this season. But Gabriel Martinelli now has the opportunity to impress in the second game versus Chelsea and be a huge star. So the next thing on the list is Kieran Tierney remains the odd one out in training. And in this training session, we can clearly see that most of the players will love to wear full sleeves, whereas Kieran Tierney, alongside other players such as Ben White for instance, have been the odd one out in terms of the weather, as they were not affected to really wear a shorts and shirts, because they really do not care about the temperature, as they care about their game, about the way they're playing and the way that they need to perform to get Arsenal where they should be. He signed a new long-term contract, something that he thinks Mikel Arteta can get the best out of him, and he's made that move where a lot of clubs would have been wanting to sign Kieran Tierney, like the likes of Manchester City. He was previously linked with Napoli. So when it comes to Kieran Tierney, we know we have a very good player on our hands. I think it's a very big bargain, a very shrewd signing by Unai Emery by bringing him from Celtic for around £25 million. And I think that was a good bit of business by the Arsenal hierarchy at that time, in the form of Raul Sanllehi and the other head of footballs, and it was a real different regime under Unai Emery. But now with the likes of Edu, I think when it comes to their recruitments, I think Nuno Tavares is an excellent understudy to Kieran Tierney. But there are other positions that we definitely need to fill. But Kieran Tierney remains the odd one out in training and remains the odd one out in the Arsenal matches, as he was someone that I thought was better than most of the players that were there, him and Emile Smith-Rowe. So hopefully he impresses versus the game in Chelsea. So the final thing on the list is Emile Smith-Rowe continues to impress in training and in the matches, and I think he was a shining light in the game versus Brentford. I think the way he performed, the way he glided with the ball, the way he gets the ball and took the responsibility now wearing the number 10 shirts, and showed why he signed that long-term contract to be a real legend at this football club. He has his mindset set on making himself a big achievement and on making himself a huge player for this football club. And Emile Smith-Rowe continues to impress. I think he is someone that Mikel Arteta does admire, but there are talks that we are looking for another creative midfielder, because not all players will be able to play day in, day out, because we all know that players, like our players in particular, are very injury prone, and they normally do get that odd injury here and there. But for me, when it comes to Kieran Tierney and especially Emile Smith-Rowe in that game versus Brentford, we can clearly see signs that Emile Smith-Rowe is developing onto a goal scorer, developing onto that creative midfielder that we definitely need, someone that could replace Mesut Ozil what he did and provide assists, and in particular provide goals, as goals will win football matches. It's not about how much possession you got, it's not about how many tackles you made, it's not about how good you are defensively, even though you're shocking in the game versus Brentford. It's not about how many kilometers you ran, it's about how many goals you score, and that's something that Mikel Arteta has addressed Emile Smith-Rowe to improve on when it comes to his ability. But I think the way he gets the ball at that number 10 position and he tries to take a shot when he was close versus Brentford, and he has done that several times in the preseason friendlies, I think we will start to see the very best of Emile Smith-Rowe in the new season if Mikel Arteta and Arsenal remain a threat. So these are 4 things spotted in Arsenal training, and also they have a very big match versus Chelsea, and hopefully they get that victory, because if we lose that game, Mikel Arteta's job is definitely going to be replaced by the likes of maybe Antonio Conte. We will have to see what happens, but other than that, guys, remain blessed.